Thank you all for coming to So Your Parents Are Old. You found yourself in this place where we're all dealing with this horror show of our parents being old, or maybe our parents have died already and we're just completely traumatized by it and thinking about it all the time. So we thought there was nobody better to talk to than Lewis Black. I believe Rolling Stone called him the perpetually aggrieved comedian, something along those lines. I started watching him in 1996 when he was on The Daily Show. It was like a breath of fresh air. Oh my God, who is this guy? He was screaming at me. It was like network, but it was real. And what he was saying was actually the truth. So Lewis Black has made his living. Somehow people keep giving him all this money as a sarcastic prick in a dunce cap. He sits in my head and he just comments about everyone and everything going on. That person who sits in his head, that's who we're talking to right now. But this is also the man in the flesh, Lewis Black, a living legend, a actual national treasure that we're speaking to, who is still alive. Welcome, Lewis.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you for coming here to speak with us. So we're going to talk about aging generally, which just sort of sucks. But first, I want to talk about the longevity in your family. So something I'm dealing with is my mom is quite ill. She's on the Upper West Side. I'm taking care of her. She's 83. Her mom lived to 104, which I believe is how old your mom lived to.
Yeah,
Is that
she
right?
did. Yeah, because I believe she was a vampire.
Obviously.
She really, no, yeah, she did. She made it to 104.
And what was
And
her
my father
quality of
made it.
life? What was her
How was
quality
it?
of life like back then?
It was crazy until, now, you were saying your mother's 83?
Hmm.
Yeah, when my mother and father were 83, I was taking them on, I did a couple of cruises, two or three actually, so that I could take them. And they were rolling along. They were still on their own. On their own, they were going down to, I had an apartment in Chapel Hill. They would go down there. I mean, and it wasn't until 93, 94 when my mother broke her hip, and that kind of slowed everything down. But she really didn't fade out. Neither of them had dementia. Neither of them had Alzheimer's. It was pretty remarkable. When you think that my father was not participating or was kind of withdrawn, and he was always kind of quiet, and you think, well, he's not following this. Then, like, if 7 minutes into the discussion at dinner, he would come up with some remarkable insight, or something really funny. I mean, it was pretty incredible.
And so, how was your relationship with them before this elderly period?
Well, I'll lie down and explain it to you. Yeah, no, my
Please
mother
do.
was kind of a really brilliant and insightful, and much better with other children. I discovered, as I have discovered during the course of my life, that she was uh, really. I mean, three or four of my friends credit my mother with kind of getting them on track and saving their lives at crucial points. As
Okay.
for me, it was like, I'm going to throw you into the deep end and now swim, and I'm going to be I'm going to be watching the McCarthy hearings while you're swimming to shore. So it was kind of like it was really strange, but it was
Because she was a
but it
teacher. She was good with other people's kids, but those teach who cannot do. Is that the
right.
idea? All right.
Yeah, and my mother also said, "Here's this are two things. Well, one in particular. My mother, I was in my early '60s and was performing in Vegas, and we were all having lunch together, and because I would bring, they were coming to Vegas into their '90s, and
Oh my God.
I said to them, I said to my mother, who wanted the kids? Did you want the kids? Or And she pointed at my father, said it was him. She said if it was up to me, I'd never have had children. Pause. And she goes, I guess I shouldn't have said that in front of you. I said,
Oh my God.
that'll give you an idea.
So, what kind of kid
You
were
know,
you?
I was a pretty good, I was a good kid. I did everything I was supposed to. I graduated, the top guy in my class, and I did all the stuff, and I was always really a good kid, basically. And it was, and and uh, and my parents were really great. I mean, they were both really funny because even if my mother was a pain in the ass, she was. I don't know if there were a lot of people funnier than my mother.
What
You
about your
know,
dad?
he uh, he was very very funny. He kind of, at least my mother didn't know where the line was. My mother had no concept, and my father did. So, and my father's the one to give you an idea. My father's sense of humor. He was reading Catch 22 when I was 15 or 16, and he was laughing out loud. And I said, "You like that book?" He said, "This is a great book." He
It
said,
is a
"You
great
should
book.
read this book." He said, "You should read this book. It'll tell you everything you need to know about being in a business, being in school, being anywhere in this country. It's all you need to know."
I feel like
And so it's
what Catch 22 says is like the man is always trying to get you. There's always a catch. You're a sucker in a
yeah,
machine. All
yeah.
right. Okay. Well,
And my father handed me that.
but so he sort of neither of them ate well. They both just lived their life making jokes, doing their work. You were a good kid, and then suddenly they're getting older and older. They're very proud of you. They seem to be following you around, enjoying your, stand up, right?
Yeah, no, they were in the audience for all of my specials, and we used my father's paintings as sets in two of my specials.
Oh, tell us about those.
My father, well, here's the interesting story about my father, which really was the kind of the guiding light. He is the only person in the United States. The reason we went to war in Vietnam was based in part on something called the Geneva Accords.
Hmm.
And there was a Gulf of Tonkin resolution based on the Geneva Accords. My father read those. He read them because my mother wouldn't shut up about the war. My mother was already, this is bullshit, fuck this shit. I mean, every night screaming. And we had the news on, and she's screaming about it. My father said, "You don't know. You're not basing this on any facts. Here's what they say. I'm going to read this. This is what they based it on. I'll read it and see." He read it. It's like 60 pages, and he sat there in front of me. He read it and literally. He read it every night, and then he finished it, and he said, "There is no legal reason for us to be in Vietnam. This is a bullshit." And so he agreed with my mother, and then he made sea mines. That was his thing. He was a mechanical
What
engineer.
is that? Underneath a bridge or
Yeah,
something? Or like
no,
what to
sea mines.
catch octopus? Octopi?
No, no. The sea mine was built as a defensive weapon. So during war, if you had a harbor and you had your boats there, you would put these sea mines in a configuration where your boats could get out, and the other people would have difficulty
Okay.
coming to get you.
Okay.
Um, so they were a defensive weapon, and my father didn't was not going to ever make an offensive weapon, and that was part of the deal. So he was working for the federal
He didn't
government.
want to just make a bunch of drones and just drop them on populations of various nation
No,
states around the world.
no,
Okay, yeah,
no,
that was a
no.
good choice for him. Yeah.
Well, really, he actually even was trying to get out, just make refrigerators or something else, but everything
Okay.
in the country had turned to weapon making. So he's working for the federal government. We mine the Haiphong Harbor,
Hmm.
and we do that. And my father, now we're using it as an offensive weapon. And my father said, "I'm done." And he retires somewhat early. and goes on to study with a. He goes ahead and studies, apprentices to a guy who does stained glass.
Hmm.
Then starts to school and starts taking courses at the junior college in painting, and he does what he always wanted to do, which was become a painter, and he does, and
Oh my God.
his work was really good. I mean, this is his. I didn't think that, I forgot
Oh
I
wow.
didn't wear. So that's basically comes from that's a painting he did, and we
That's
put it on
awesome.
T-shirts
Okay,
and
for a
sell
second
it.
I thought those were maybe overalls and you were just giving up. You were like, I'm just going to be an old guy in overalls. Now that's it. This also looks like a secret society of some sort. What kind of
Nah, yeah, this is what he did, and he had everything was kind of. He called himself a hard-edged abstractionist.
nice. And so they were still coming to Vegas in their 90s, maybe doing some gambling, maybe not. And then what happened? There's a fall, as usually
Uh,
is the
Yeah,
case.
yeah, and then they become more homebound, but my mother,
Hmm.
bounces back, and um, and they basically kind of, start to fade, just physically fade, and not mentally, but that's a lot slower. But the physical, they less time out, and at that point, they need. And here's the key to why the longevity. Uh, they had my father was needed needed some more help. They had two friends, two nurses, Nancy Wilkie and Betty Ruano, two really fine ladies who had retired from nursing, and they were my parents' friends at this point, younger, but not by a ton. And they found someone to basically they knew caregivers, and they brought somebody in, and as they grew older and needed more help, uh, and I could afford the help. I mean, that was the one thing about I hadn't gone crazy with my money, and I always knew. I always kind of went, this was gonna be necessary at some point. I didn't realize it would, what it would mean, but that's how they lived that long. You can't do it otherwise,
You mean
you
just
know.
in the home with care?
Yeah,
You could still live
in
in
what
an assisted place, but yeah, people do
it's a
sometimes like
lot
decline
different
more.
though. They were in an independent living situation with care, so they
Right.
had
Extra people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
24/7.
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
or, it was really until, they were put to bed, they would initially they'd be sleeping, and then it became someone would stay at night
So,
with them.
did you expect them to live that long?
God, nobody expects, no, just, plus we reached, my father missed COVID by about a year,
Okay.
and
That's good.
but my mother lived through it and
Oh, I'm
never got
sorry.
it. And it was rampant through their through the place they were living, assisted, independent, and memory care. There were three branches, but her group,
It's
I
like
mean,
three stations of the cross. I
yeah,
mean, you
exactly.
just move to like
Yeah,
wars.
that
So how is this, as somebody who I think of as a famous atheist, although you can correct me on that, how did this all make you feel about the afterlife?
I really don't know, because they were living so long. It was beyond my comprehension. There didn't seem to be an afterlife necessary because they'd already lived it. I mean, uh, for my mother, 104. I mean, it's staggering. Um, I I don't know, and they were not religious. So my mother used to say, "Why should nobody should live this fucking long."
What would you
She
say to her when
literally
she said
said that
that?
at her 100th birthday. She blew out the candles on the cake and screamed, "Nobody should live this fucking long."
And did you agree?
Uh, I just thought I kind of part, yeah. I mean, I got it. I got what she was talking about. Um, but I mean, but she, as long as she could, she kept, functioning. So, I mean, and she had these caregivers that she was always kind of advising. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. She was
Bossing
constantly
them
teaching.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
she
what
never
do you
got, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this in your mother's, she's gotten older, but she never got paranoid. She got a little paranoid, I'd have to say.
about
They're
what?
stealing money.
Yeah.
They're stealing stuff. I go, you haven't got shit to shut up. I just go, shut the fuck up, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang up, and call me back when you've got evidence.
So what did you think
And
of the place? Are you just like looking at these bills like, "Oh my God, I thought I had a lot of money, but it turns out memory care is twice as much as the other care." Like, what did you
well, I
think?
didn't, but I didn't have to pay for memory care because they were in independent living. They never
Oh,
moved out.
that's right. Okay. Okay. So you
You
got
know,
the
and it was
lower price.
still. I mean, I had two caregivers. At least there all the time, but I could afford it. I
Okay.
mean, I was a stand-up comic working theaters. I mean, I could really afford. I was working, 150 nights a year.
Wow. Oh my God.
So and it started at 200 nights a year, and so I mean, it was on the Daily Show, and we did movies, and then I wrote books, and so all of that, but I put aside because I always knew there wasn't that much I really, kind of wanted.
Right,
Um,
right, right. Like, what else are you going to buy? About you're going to buy the Kurt Vonnegut signed
yeah,
set of, every tiny novel he ever wrote.
yeah.
So, would you go to one of these places? Or are you like, absolutely not? I'm gonna just, gonna go walk into the Hudson River.
Yeah, that's the profound insanity is that my generation, um, your generation, all of everybody is all the generations right now are looking at what that step is and not doing shit to deal with it. Nothing. Going, oh yeah, what are you gonna do? It's the question. Are you gonna? Fuck no. But we've come up with nothing else. And the only thing is because I go to these goddamn, I stay at like a Fairfield Inn or a Hampton Suites or and you kind of, I started looking at them. I was at one for a month. This is when it dawned on me. I had a play being done in Seattle. And we're staying at a suite hotel, a hotel with a bunch of suites, meaning, small kitchen. And I'm looking at this place going, Jesus Christ. I don't think they did do this on purpose because I don't think they're that smart. They had built the next generation of assisted living.
That's what it
Or,
looks like. I'm sure
it
that's
looks
the
like.
plan. I'm sure that's the plan. Next time there's COVID and nobody comes here for vacation, we turn into an assisted living. Eventually, every place will be assisted living. They're gonna like
Yeah,
forget the affordable housing thing. They're just like, no, you're just gonna live under the bridge in the tent, and then we'll get you in the assisted living through Medicaid. Like that's it.
yeah.
That's all there. I agree with you though. It's like this crazy thing where you're like, okay, there is definitely a climate crisis, and like we definitely have fascists running the country. But are you also aware that 20 years of everybody's life is going to be spent just like half alive with maybe somebody to visit you? I don't really know who's coming.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
I
visit
know, and
you.
and my friends and I have talked. I don't know if your friends have talked about this, but we started talking about a while ago uh, of getting a place together, a large place, a larger place, and and then hiring a staff and doing it on our own, so that we're with our
Sure.
friends. So and partly so that we can actually get through a story, and we have enough people to remember the fucking story. So we've made a decision, but here's the kicker to that. We can't decide where to fucking live. So everybody's got. I think we're gonna live. We should live in Arizona. Fuck you. I'm not living in the desert. I'm gonna live in North Carolina. Fuck you. I'm not going down. It's like unbelievable. So where are we gonna go, you fucking morons?
So you all gonna end up in like Paramus, New Jersey, just because you can't decide?
I don't know. I'll go walk on the beach somewhere. Fuck this, but it's tough. I don't want to live in one of those places. My father initially, when you have to realize I took them where your mother is now, 83. I took my parents at 83 because my brother had passed away. I get in a, I go down there. I'm on the road a lot now. My career's taken off, so I go down there. I say, and I say, I hate to say this, but I think you're going to have to move out of the house because I mean you're at that age,
And what did
you
they
know.
say?
And they were like, and I explained, and that I'm not going to be able to just run home if something's up. I'm not here. Um, and they went. I said, let's go look. And I drove around with them. I said, let's start looking. And we drove up to this place, and it was a 10-story assisted living or independent and assisted living place, and nearby where they lived. And my father looked at it and he went, we didn't even, I'm not going in there. He says, I am not going to live in a giant chicken coop. And it was very good. And they found a place that they were very comfortable in.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
they
it
did.
kind of, yeah, I mean, they enjoyed where they lived and the folks around them that they made friends with. And and my father continued to drive and they knew all the back roads. And so they had this life. I mean, they kept going,
Yeah,
you
I think
know.
you can actually have a life in one of these places. I think it's more like not everybody is a working comedian who's publishing books and, doing like, stand up at the highest level and getting paid. Like, there's a real issue with private equity taking over all of these assisted living places. Half the time, like the assistance is like, we give you your medication. Every time there's like real assistance needed, you call 911. It's a pretty good business model, right? So you've basically got this situation where you have, these old people and all their kids are like, oh no, how do I help? Let's put you in assisted living. And then that's just the first step. There's so many more steps that are going to happen. That's the thing that I think is hardest to wrap your head around is like if your parents have longevity, this is like now a long road you're walking down with them arm in arm where they're sort of falling to the ground, but you're walking down it with them for years, for maybe decades,
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
it was a long haul, but and you realize no, you've got that time, and so it's what do you do, and how do you live with that time frame? I'm looking at what's happening to my parents and going, this is what I'm got to look forward to. That you wake up, you go down, you eat, you come back up, you watch CNN, you go, they would at least read the papers, and then, it was, and they kept going for a while. So I mean, they kept pushing it, but by the time my mother was 100 when they were there, there was no gas in the tank except for them sitting at my mom sitting in the chair and they'd take him downstairs and
So
they'd
what
go
do you
outside.
want? What do you want when you get older? Are you like, I can't? Okay, so my mom is in her apartment because she said to me, I will never go to one of those places, which is where her mom lived to 104. But now I realize she's just sitting on a couch. This couch could be anywhere. Could be anywhere. It could be, in Thailand, Koh Phangan, and there could be like a full moon party. She's just like, there's not a lot happening, right? Like, she just wants to see her grandkids once in a while. I mean, she'd like to see them every day in truth, and there's a lot of guilt that goes along with all of that that we can also talk about, but it doesn't really matter. So like what do you want then? Are you like I'll stay till I'm 100 because the other side is so terrifying because the other side is just like the black abyss where nothingness lives.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
agree with you. I'm with you on that.
I
As
mean,
bad as it is to look at your parents at 101 or 104, there is part of you
yeah,
that's like, I think I'm going to go for it because I don't want you to just put me in the place where I can't ever, where I don't exist, where there's no existence.
yeah. No, that's the thing. I am not big on that. I like this. I still
Yeah.
like this. I mean, even with it being kind of a slow trudge at times. And I've gotten up. One thing I did, which was my friends were shocked because it was I got a puppy because I wanted a dog, and I wanted a dog the entire time I was on the road. I wanted a dog. I had a dog when I was in school. I had a dog after college until my early 30s, and then it was like, no, we can't do this anymore. And now I've got a dog again, and and everybody goes, oh, that'll really keep you young. Yeah, fuck you, it's going to kill me. That's how I'm going to
Because
break my
I thought
leg.
the dog walks the man. It's awesome. It's supposed to be so good for you.
Yeah, it is
No?
supposed to be good, but no, it is. But you've got to train the dog and you have to be trained to walk the dog so the dog's not wrapping around your legs and trying. And you're holding, and the goddamn dog is taking a dump, and you're holding the goddamn leash, hoping the dog stays there while you're standing there picking up the stuff. And who's got the energy for that? It's like,
It's supposed to keep you young. Like it's
yeah,
supposed
it
to
is.
just
But what it does is it makes you nap. You end up having to take more naps. That's what it does.
Okay, but it's also joy, right? The dog is pure joy. I personally don't have a pet, but I have noticed that maybe every single human being alive now has a pet except for me.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it does bring me, because you come back, as my mother said, the other thing my mother said, which was proof about children, she said that the one thing she learned about me having a dog, she said, I'd rather have dogs than children because they're at least excited when you come home. And because my dog just like can't, it's like literally, you didn't die. You're here. I thought you were going to leave. I would leave me, the dog is saying.
So wait, did you feel guilt about not going to see your mother all the time? And did she guilt you about not being there constantly?
No, oh no, she was,
She was
no,
happy.
the only thing she guilted me was, why are you still working? And I would go so I can keep you in I could keep you in the style in which you've become accustomed. And so that you can have all of this. Okay, so shut the fuck up. Because she would go, well, you shouldn't really be doing this. And I go, I fucking enjoy doing. I mean, I couldn't argue with her anyway. There was never, there's never winning the argument. You know,
So what about like when she died? What happened? Did you feel relief? Were you like, this is over finally? Or were you intensely sad? Or both?
no, it's weird because you already have gone through a certain amount of grief. I, I
Yeah.
did,
Hmm.
and because they're already fading. So already parts that had been as nutty as those parts were at times, those parts were leaving. What was truly unbelievable was like 2 weeks before she died, and this is uh, my mother and I had never looked each other in the eye.
What does that
Imagine
mean?
that.
How can that be?
Yeah.
You were at her
Well,
breast. She
well,
didn't
I
look at you
know.
in the
Oh,
eye
here,
with a.
yeah, here's truth number 67. And this is a tip off to what life is going to be like. I was allergic to my mother's milk.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
You were an
So
orphan
she's
from the
cooking.
beginning.
She's cooking Similac or whatever the fuck it was. And so, no. So that I remembered where we had, and we did. I was getting ready to leave, and we sat there for a good minute. And that I went, okay, we're at peace.
Nice.
She gets it.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with my father when he died, and I have to say, it has really felt good the way that you describe it, but it is shocking that you can go also through a whole experience with this person who's maybe the most important person in shaping you. And that deathbed moment is the moment that you can really connect. Holy shit, I can't believe it. You
Yeah.
know? And I don't
Yeah.
come from like a big therapy background. I don't know. Maybe I should have hauled him into therapy. I have no idea. I don't know how you could have fixed that. Maybe some things just are the way they are, and at least you have that moment at the end, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing that was, I mean, how many in your family? Did you have a,
I'm an only child. So
oh,
it's
you're an
just
only
me
child?
and these decrepit and dead people.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah,
But
not
my
good.
brother passed,
Right. So
and
you
I
were
was
also,
literally, and I cursed him every day that I was on a train going to see them, going, you fuck. No wonder you checked out. This is really, I shouldn't be having to be dealing with this on my own. And, but they, and to their credit, they really flipped him out because he died when in his 40s. So they were like, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, and da 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 da.
Mhm.
And I really gave him the come to Jesus moment of, you don't, okay, you grieve and you do this and all of that, but I'm here, so you don't get to check out, okay? You're fucking stuck with me, so stop it, and we'll get through it. And I'm not happy about it either. So it was we that I think had to do too with making it easier to not my brother's death, but it did kind of give us a bridge. He was kind of the bridge.
of the death bridge that
Yeah,
reminded you that, yeah,
yeah,
these things were going this way. Yeah. But
yeah,
then you basically became an only child. I mean, and
yeah,
you didn't even get the benefit of getting a lot of presents when you were little and all the attention heaped on you. You just got
yeah.
that the back half, which is,
Oh yeah, no, but
the
that
bad
the other
half.
thing, the other thing is that we didn't have big birthdays, even nothing. Hanukkah was a shit holiday. The whole thing was bupkis. I mean, it was really as I would make jokes about it in my act, but it was like a back to school holiday. Socks and an eraser. Are you fucking kidding me? Are we? We're not getting a notebook. What is the matter with you people?
Well, you were made of like hardy stuff though. Like look at you. You're still ticking. You're not quite as angry as you used to be. Do you notice that? I wonder if you
No,
chilled
I'm
out.
angry. No, 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 no. I don't act like that all the time, or I'd be dead. No. I'm talking about my parents. It's not,
Well, what if the
that,
idea that the culture went to this place that, like only the people who are conspiracy theorists and super angry, get to be heard.
well, yeah, but my anger, it was basically how I was funny when I was angry.
Right.
And I've also kind of, retired from stand up in a sense. I've got two more major shows and then I'll be doing some stuff. On occasion, I'll do a show every now and then, but I'm done with touring.
How do you feel about that?
And great.
Yeah.
I want to write. I have a podcast. I read people's rants. I don't talk to people. I have to be the one that people talk to. But I read the rants that people write. So what it is that's pissing off just folks. So I do that every week. And
You're gonna turn into this guy who's at home and he's gonna write and he's still gonna be angry and reading his rants, and you're gonna live for 25 more years. You're
ugh,
basically looking at living for 25 more years.
ugh, I don't know. If I can if I could maintain energy, because um, if I can maintain the energy, if I can get my ass to do more than, just get some more exercise besides walking the dog 3 to 4 to 5 miles a day, which they say is like real exercise, which I think is bullshit. I
Are
don't
you eating
feel,
well? You said that your parents ate terribly their entire lives and still lived this long. So,
yeah,
but are you
yeah,
trying to eat? Are you like,
oh,
no,
I
I'm going to
eat pretty
eat
well.
keto?
Yeah, no, I eat pretty well. I generally try to. I mean, sometimes I go through a streak where it's like I went out west to do these shows, and I was on the tour bus with the dog, and when you're doing that, I didn't have. It was like, okay, we're gonna stop here. Fuck it, I can have, I can go to the
Whatever.
In and Out. Yeah.
Yeah. In and out. So, what are the three tips for aging? Get a dog.
Well, uh, make sure you've got a good group of friends or family.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Remember, and this I've got to remind myself that uh, laughter is really what's important.
Yeah.
Everything else is. Remember to laugh. That's and I'm beginning to think. I'm talking about writing again. One of the things I want to write about is because I was not able to get it across on stage over the last year of trying to come up with a special is that uh, one of the things that we talk about. Well, we're in this. This is what's happening now, and people are there's an explosion on both sides, and yada yada. Well, here's the problem, you fucking idiots. It's because we're not laughing. It's because you used to be able to laugh, and you're not. Both sides are afraid of their own fucking shadows, and both sides, whatever is happening, it's the most important. It may be, and we may be in the middle of a high pitched battle, and all of that. And then, no matter what it is, it's funny. And there are people who know how to make it funny. And if you and even and I don't care. I mean, the difference was uh, when I did jokes about Ronald Reagan, the Republicans in the audience would laugh
Right.
because they know they'd won. If you know, both sides have won. Why? Because we're living in fucking Moneyville. Some people are fucked. Some people are getting fisted on a daily basis. We can cut that. But sure, that's happening. But overall, it's a pretty remarkable country. We yell and we scream, and a lot of it has to do with our inability to share. Okay, because God knows you better take your piece of the pie. But you go. I was in you travel enough. I'm in Portugal the first time like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, and it's 16% unemployment, and they're happier than we've ever been.
Yeah.
We can't function. It's like you're worried 3% unemployment, and what do we or 4% or whatever it is. Well, that because we don't pay the other 10% what they should get paid, you idiots. So
Right.
there has to be some place in there for laughter. You have to be able to laugh, and that's vital. And
Yeah.
I think we've lost it.
Well,
And
that's what I think is it's basically we're the reason we're living so long is because the country is actually so good. Because the healthcare in some ways has gotten better. Because people are eating better because we are eradicating diseases. Now, you may live this long with half your brain, and I don't really know what to say about that, but the
Yeah, no,
fact that
that's
you
the
don't
thing.
have to do the nothingness part for 20 years extra, like maybe that is actually not such a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not. And then but what you said is really true because my parents' friends, Betty and Nancy, as they said, was what they, because being nurses and they watched it, that the medical profession, or at least big pharma, basically put their money into keeping our bodies going. They did nothing for the brain. So
Right.
we're basically, we're able to kind of move around, and then we're carrying this big piece of meat around.
Yeah, you're just like an
On-
eating, shitting machine that
yeah,
essentially needs to be like kept alive at a very
yeah,
high price. Like
and it's
that's not the
and it,
greatest.
and it's
Were they
hence
nice? Were those ladies what were they like, those two
they
ladies?
were great. They
Where were
were
they
really
from?
they were from one was from Pennsylvania, I think, and the other was from Michigan.
And it was like a
And
calling for them. I mean, that's like amazing to me is that you
yeah,
realize that you hear like these horror stories, all these horrible people taking care of your parents. Well, there's actually a lot of amazing people.
well,
There's amazing people, you know?
they put the team together and then kind of oversaw them, and were really good at it. I mean,
Yeah.
brilliant and remarkably, it was like a gift.
So
And
what were the other times of laughter taking care of your parents? We got the one where your mom says I shouldn't have lived this long.
yeah, no, uh, it was the fact that the other laughter is it doesn't change. It's still I'm having an argument with my mother about when do I take Social Security. Okay, that's just flat out funny. Okay, that's a
She's like a
different level.
hundred and she's like, you really should space it out more, or she's like, you want to take
Yeah,
it later?
yeah, I should have taken it later. I took it sooner. Yeah, on the advice, I'm going on the advice of the guy who does my business. The guy's been running my business for 25 years. Well, you should have waited because I was going to get $100 more a fucking year. He's going to make more money doing, oh, no, you're playing the market. Okay, Jesus. You know, so it's like, but you're sitting there arguing with, I'm not supposed to be arguing. I think give me something. Give me at least the knowledge of Social Security. you know?
All right. Thank you so much, Lewis Black. What kind of dog is this, and what is its name? Because we're gonna all think about you and the walk you're about to go take for the
I
fifth
know.
time
I'll bring
today.
him in. You want
Bring
me
him
to
in.
bring him
I'd love
in?
to see him. Yeah, let's see a
All
little
right. Let me
cute
see if I can
dog.
get him up on the chair. His name is Sammy. I named him after my father.
Nice.
Uh, and he's a Shetland sheepdog and a poodle
Oh,
mix.
that's very
Yeah,
cute.
it is very cute, but he's bigger than he's supposed to be a mini, and they bullshitted me on. Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Here it is.
hello. Oh my God, he's so cute. Why are you fighting so hard? Hey, you're supposed to be loving. You're supposed to
Because
take
he
care of
wanted to lay
him.
down.
Oh,
He
he's
wanted to
so
lay down, and then
cute.
he'll be calm for a minute.
Oh my
Okay, now he's
God.
gonna.
Okay, okay, you can wriggle away. All right. Well, that's
Yeah,
adorable.
he
I
is
look
adorable.
I look forward to the time that your brain is the same size as his brain. We can do another interview then. See what happens.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much
Good.
for coming on our show,
Oh,
telling us
thank you.
all about taking care of your parents for many, many years. You did do the Lord's work there. You know you were stuck, nobody else to do it but you made your way through. And
Yeah,
we look forward to reading the books you're going to write, all the amazing jokes you're going to tell. This is a time, it is true in the country where we have to laugh more because I'm sick of being this angry myself. And I don't think I
yeah.
can get through the next years of taking care of my mom without at least a little laughter. So, for all the
And you can watch.
caregivers out there, please laugh.
Yes, and you can watch the Daily Show tomorrow. I'm still on the Daily Show.
Awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
my God, 30 years on The Daily Show. Who else can say that? That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, you are one of my favorite comedians, and reading your books over, preparing for this, we'll have a link in the show notes to Lewis's podcast and some of his books. If you still like to read, was just such a joy. And thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks, Vanessa. I appreciate it. I really do. It was a lot of fun.